Merry Christmas.
I
Welcome
love that.
to
I need some
Coffee.
jingle bells. Jingle, jingle,
Jingle
jingle.
bells. And welcome to Coffee with Jeannie and Cindy. This is our BNOW chat, and it's Christmas time. You look elegant.
Look at you. I'm not kidding.
Got my
You
BNOW
pull-
shirt
I
on.
love it. You
Santa
just look
Claus.
fabulous. You do. I love it. And you got your little Kris Kringle. And I have my nod to the lights and stuff behind me. I just haven't quite gotten Christmas up yet since we moved, but I do have some lights there.
Well, I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's all about the spirit of Christmas, and that's what we're going to talk about today is historically what Christmas is and this time of year is, at least in the Western Hemisphere, not down in South America. They're experiencing summer right now. But for us, what this means. And so I was, of course, you grow up and you think Jesus was born on December 25th. Nope. We don't know when Jesus was born, but we do know.
Actually, there are several scientific things. One said in September, where the position of the stars were. Mm-hmm. And the other one said in May, when the shepherds were out in the field with their flocks and, tending the sheep and all of that. But in reality, we don't know.
No, and also I heard that August, because that's when the census was done in Bethlehem. So you hear all of these different stories. So why did they choose December 25th? So, 2,000 years ago, not quite that long, for celebrating the birthday of Jesus. And it's because the Romans were worshiping the god Apollo. And Italians love to party, as we know.
Oh, yeah.
Love to party. And they'll find any reason to party. And so while the rest of Rome was celebrating the god Apollo, which is the sun god, because winter solstice is the shortest day and the longest night. And after winter solstice, the days start getting longer again. While they were doing that, the Christians decided they would celebrate Jesus' birthday at that time. So that's how the date December 25th came about, because it was you were well into starting the days getting longer again, which is important to harvest, to planting and harvesting and crops and all of that, and food. So, and then we see it also in the pyramids, in Stonehenge. I just found a place in Louisiana, they call it the Snake Mound, that on winter solstice, that head of the snake is in direct alignment with the solstice, with the sun being where it is. When I lived in Paint Rock, they have a marking there of the solar marking at the precise time of day. So how did these primitive cultures knew exactly when to pinpoint that particular time of day on the winter solstice, and made humongous monuments to this? I mean, they're everywhere on this planet.
Well, Chaco Canyon in New Mexico.
Yes.
And this one woman discovered, and these swirls and stuff, and right on the solstice, it cuts right through it. And of course, all the archaeologists were up in arms because you're not a trained archaeologist, but that can't be right? And then also down in Chichen Itza in Mexico, where I've been to the ruins and stuff, and they have these step pyramids, and they have like the snake coming down, which is the light, comes down with the solstice. And as you say, it is impeccable, the engineering. So, when you said, of course, that's kind of like what we've been taught, these primitive people. Well, who are the primitive ones here?
Exactly.
Because they still cannot fit a piece of paper in between any of the stones in the Great Pyramid of Giza. There's another place up in Peru, and it's called, and the way I remember it, it sounds like sexy woman, but it's Saxe Woman. And it is a huge, I mean, these huge blocks that are put together. And of course, we can go into like the Watchers and the giants that lived and all of that. Michael Tellinger in South Africa shows that there is a footprint of a Homo sapien on the side of this hill that is taller than I am, and it's deep. But it was, they had gone through the flood, and then the upthrust of the earth, and it has solidified into this huge footprint. Even where we live here in Texas, in Central Texas, in Glen Rose, and the National Glen Rose, and they call it the dinosaurs, the dinosaur. And they show Homo sapiens with footprints right next to dinosaur footprints, which totally threatens, everything is going to have to be rewritten at some time. But I digress.
Well, it's important. And I find it a fascinating subject because this was a time of peace. I like the Celtic, I've studied the Celtic ways a lot. And so this is a time of peace. Now, mistletoe is, the Celts saw that the oak groves were sacred, and they would do their ceremonies in these, what they call these sacred oak groves. And from the oak grows mistletoe. And so the mistletoe in the wintertime is also, they called it the oak child because it was a different growth.
It's a parasite. It lives off of the oak.
Exactly. Tree. And so if you had mistletoe, what that meant, if, for instance, if two enemies came with their swords and they saw that there was mistletoe on the tree, they would lay their swords down and wait, and because it meant a sign of peace, and they wouldn't fight. Mm-hmm. Another thing, and then of course we know mistletoe means you kiss under the mistletoe, but another thing that would happen was they would take mistletoe and put it on their windowsill. And that meant that if you were a traveler, they had a room for you that you could come in and rent, that type of thing. So mistletoe was a symbol of friendship, friendly, peace. And I absolutely love the story, and you can look it up, of during World War II, when these American and German soldiers came together and they were singing, the Americans heard the Germans singing Silent Night in German, and they all got together and shared food and had a celebration because of the Silent Night song. Because it's a time of peace. This is a time of quiet. The snow makes everything quiet, and it's too cold to fight. So people are in their homes, more during this time.
So I just love this. This is such a rich conversation. I talked to someone the other day, and she said, I'm pretty much over organized religion, but I do like to go and listen to the Christmas music. Like you were saying, it is so powerful. But I also read something too, Cindy, that was saying that many times we impose our wills on children, and saying, this is a time when there's a lot of excitement and a lot of stuff going on, and food and shopping and stuff, and your children can be out of sorts. They're around a lot of strangers. They don't have to conform to your idea. You putting them on a stranger's lap so that you can get this memory of them sitting on Santa Claus's lap that might just scare the bejeebers out of them. How about considering don't do that. You know, if
Yeah.
you want speaking about peace, if you want a peaceful holiday, how about understanding that we're all in this together? You know, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about pets acting out, my pets being upset with the move and stuff like that. Well, children too. Children are, they're sentient beings. And let's just, not that we have to cater to everybody's whim, it's not about that. But so often, because we get into well, this is how it has to be, and my mother and my grandmother and my da da da, and always did it this way, and everything was this way, and we have to serve this food and we have to do that. Well, how about maybe not?
Yeah. You
How
don't
about
have to.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. How about maybe, Cindy, of taking that energy and imagining it as peaceful, like you were saying, like
Right.
the mistletoe.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, I'm all for tradition, and I love like the Spanish tradition in the little villages there. They reenact they go, I forgot what it's called, but they go from door to door to door looking for like the story of Mary and Joseph going door to door trying to find a place to stay. And then the last door they go to, there's a big fiesta and big party there. Right. So there's some wonderful traditions for Christmas out there, but it doesn't, like you said, you can create your own tradition and create your own memories. And I think that that's something that is important. And also to acknowledge this time, don't get caught up in the commercialism of Christmas, but to really focus on simply peace.
Well, there's another aspect to that. My parents died about 50 years ago, both of them. And so we were kind of like left on our own and helped raising our other younger sisters and brothers. But one thing that younger people often don't understand as they're raising their own families, it's lovely to get together with your parents or, with the other person's parents or whatever. But it is very important to create your own memories, your own traditions for your children and grandchildren. Right. So, because the old passes away. So, as we are coming into the Christmas season, yes, of course, go see your parents if you're lucky enough to have them around. Go do those things. But make sure that you and your own family is creating some wonderful ways to celebrate that your children will remember and their children will remember too. Whether it's just making, hot chocolate together or cookies or sitting down and watching It's a Wonderful Life or whatever. Creating your own memories, because it's sort of like you started out talking about the light and the solstice and how it, comes down the walls and it comes down all of that. It returns every year and it illuminates. So my question would be, how can I illuminate the lives of people around me in a way that lifts them up?
Exactly. Well, I have a show and tell.
Okay.
This stocking, Cindy. Yeah. My mother made this when I was a year old.
Oh my word.
Right. My mother crocheted this and eventually I had 3 brothers and each one of us had a stocking just like this.
Oh.
And so there were 4 of them. But what Mom confessed later is she said she didn't realize how big it was going to be. So we could always expect oranges and apples.
Right. Sure. Socks.
All the way down. Right. And yeah, exactly. And so that stocking means a lot to me because it represents all the Christmases when I was a child and at home. And I couldn't wait to see what Santa Claus brought.
Right? Oh, that's such a treasure.
Right.
That is such a treasure. So, I think that as we come up to whatever holiday that we're celebrating, and there are a bunch of different religious holidays around this time,
Right.
And, our most familiar one is Christmas, but there are other ones too.
Right.
And to say, how can I approach this with reverence and joy? How can I bring the light in a new way and make this a holiday of lights?
You
Which,
know,
of
I'm
course,
really glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that because that's what Hanukkah is.
Hanukkah is that.
Hanukkah is that. So instead of looking at the Jewish people with contempt, which has gone on for so many years, right?
It's stupid.
Jesus was a Jew, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he celebrated Hanukkah. Of
Sure.
course he did, right? So to honor different traditions, because when it all comes down to it, we're all celebrating the same thing.
Yes.
What you just said, we're celebrating light and peace and joy to the world.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we are actually celebrating at this time, which is go into that spirit that loves peace and joy, because all of those are qualities of the divine, of God. And
Yeah.
and that's what we're celebrating. It doesn't matter how you do it, but I'm so glad that you went there with the light, bringing the light in, which you've got lights all behind you, bringing in the light. I love that.
Well,
I love
and
that.
to come back to what you said about we're all celebrating, maybe in different languages, but the German soldiers and the American soldiers
Right.
singing.
In World War II, when they're supposed to be hating each other.
Yep. Yep.
War is not created by by the masses. War is created by people who control, and that's a
Right.
very small population. But I think now things are changing. I think that now we're saying, hold it.
Right.
This has gone a little too.
You old men do not get to send our young people into war to be slaughtered. No. We're not doing this anymore.
Because why? Why are you doing it? To conquer? No. To kill people? To see who's got the bigger guns? I mean, come on.
Well, it's more than that.
Yes.
It's threatening. Mostly, it's like these old men who are losing their testosterone and their power and stuff. Well, let's just send the young ones who are the threats into war.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
let's make money off of it.
And it's men. It's the men who do this exactly.
Well, and honestly, if people understood, even like Henry Ford, he was supplying both sides, the Germans and the Americans, with tanks and
cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, follow the money,
cha-ching.
follow
Yeah.
the money.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. So I probably need a piece of mistletoe because I just got pissed off again.
Well, exactly. But this is a time of peace. This is a time of love.
It is.
And that's what we're going to focus on. Don't worry about, oh, my poor little granddaughter, her puppy ran away and has not come back.
Oh, no.
And we don't know where that is. And she wrote a letter to Santa Claus. It's been going on 2 months now. And she still thinks that somebody might have taken him in. And she wrote a letter. She goes, I don't want toys for Christmas. I just want my dog back.
Oh.
Oh, man. So Christmas can come up with some heartfelt things. Divorce is pretty rampant in our country. When we were young, it wasn't as popular, but now it is. And you have mommy's house and daddy's house, and kids, families getting separated and not knowing where they belong. Well, okay, we got to, all of this kind of thing. But just focus on the love and understanding, and anything that you do get for Christmas, a phone call from a friend, a card from a friend, anything, just put it on your heart and feel the love.
Yes.
Because when we feel love, real love, when we really feel it, then we feel the peace. And we also can feel the joy.
You know, I have several family members and friends who are going through their first Christmas without their, you know, their spouse or their mother or their father. You
Yeah.
know, be kind. Just be
Yeah.
kind. If you know
Yeah.
someone who's lost somebody, you know, invite them out for coffee or bring them something. You know, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but you know, there are a lot of people who are their lives have changed and will never be the same again.
You
I'm
know,
not terrible. It will never be the same.
exactly. And one thing that I learned how to do when you know that somebody is going through something, I'm I go in a cave. When I'm going through something, I'm not nobody hears from me until I fix
Right.
it. And because I don't like people to see me upset.
Right.
And one thing that I've learned is when you are aware that somebody might be going through something like what you just said, to just, they might not answer the phone,
Right.
but you can say in a voicemail, which is something they can repeat, is just to say, this is a love call. This is a love call at Christmas. You're on my mind. I just want you to know that you are loved. That's all you have to do.
And that's a huge present.
Can be huge for somebody going through something.
Mhm.
I do that pretty often. And people have come back to me, so I just played it over and over and over again, and it really helped. So that's a simple thing you can do if somebody's name comes into your thoughts, then maybe you're picking up on their energy, because everything is energy.
Right.
React on it right then. Don't say, "Oh, I need to call them." Do it that minute, because there's something in maybe God's saying you need to call this friend. They need to hear from you right now. That might be a communication from God. So that's one thing that I've learned how to do, is those love calls. Knowing that people.
Well, we are going to go, our next coffee chat or so is going to be about the new year. I also want to remind you, ladies, join us for Refresh and Renew Women's Retreat in Nacogdoches, Texas, in the beautiful Piney Woods, January 14th through 16th, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You will. This is the biggest present. And seriously, if someone says, "What do you want for Christmas?" just tell them, "I would like for you to pay my way to the Refresh and Renew retreat," which is very modestly priced.
Oh,
You know,
man.
just tell people that's
People always ask us, is that every time we do a retreat, they go, "Is that all? Is that all?"
I know. Well, I mean, we work very diligently to keep the value up and the cost down.
Right.
So do not equate that to saying, "Oh, it has no value." Oh, no. I mean, people walk away and say, "This is life-changing. It's transformative." So go to beautifulnetworkofwomen.com, share that with your people who want to give you a present. You know, and seriously, it's a great present.
It is a great present. It's not.
So I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. To our other listeners, have a happy Hanukkah, have a beautiful celebration, whatever it is that you call it, and we'll be sending our light to you. Thank you again, Cindy. I love you.
I love you too.